Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Going with Rogue. My name is Matt, and today I want to talk about iconic cars and their usage in movies and TV. All right, so first what I'm going to do here is I do have this random list that I found. This is an article back in February. I am on Allen's Factory Outlet, and I don't know what this website even is. But somebody at Allen's Factory Outlet decided to actually go through its over 70,000 pieces of media that include movies, animated features, movies made for TV, miniseries, TV series, short films, music videos, documentaries, and nonfiction TV. And they've made a list of 50 most used automobiles, model ranked by number of appearances. Now, I honestly could have saw this coming because it is such a popular model of a car used for a certain particular, kind of car. If you think of a police car, what make and model car do you picture when you picture a police car? Especially like late 80s, all of 90s, even maybe the early 2000s. Is a Crown Victoria. They have on this list that the Crown Victoria has 6,874 appearances in movies and TV, which, first of all, if the person that's actually counting this out, you're insane. I'm going to go through some of the other cars as they come up in the conversation because I am talking about, I wanted to actually get to the actual cars and names and the histories on the show themselves. The first one that I'm going to go through here is the Batmobile. This is how this is going to go. Because the Batmobile has been a lot of different make and model of a vehicle. I feel like the latest Batmobile that we actually have seen would have been Robert Pattinson's movie, The Batman. And that Batmobile was nothing but a Dodge Charger, really. I mean, it was obviously souped up in whatever way that Bruce Wayne can afford to soup up a Charger. But just at a first glance at what he was driving in that movie it just looked like a Dodge Charger. 1967 Chevy Impala for the Batmobile in 1989 and 1992 Batman movies was built from a Chevy Impala, which would have been Keaton's Batmobile and Val Kilmer's Batmobile would have been an Impala. 1955 Lincoln Futura. I don't know if that's correct at all. The iconic 60s Batmobile from the TV series that was based on the Lincoln. I'm guessing that would be Adam West. Because he's the TV Batman. And then this one says in 1939, and a 1943 film of Batman was the original Batmobile, a Cadillac Series 7.5, 1939. On that first list here, where is the Dodge Charger on that list? Because I don't think it's anywhere. Dodge is not on this list. Holy shit, Dodge isn't on this list. Because right there, I'll go off of the Charger to start with. I feel like the Dodge Charger is multiple iconic cars in film and TV. When I think of a Dodge Charger, I think of Dom Toretto, Vin Diesel's character in Fast and Furious. It is really hard to watch a Fast and Furious movie. I mean, it's just hard to escape from that car, him from that car, rather. Another car that you can think of would be the General Lee from Dukes of Hazzard. Another person who actually, this is another one that kind of just looks like a Dodge Charger, but does have some different modifications made to it for his, personality or whatever. But Blade, Wesley Snipes, drove a Dodge Charger. A really cool thing that I actually liked about Blade's car, now that I think about it, is his headlights were UV lights. So he can change from like a regular headlight to a UV light and then burn the vampires that were in front of him. And then obviously, the Charger being much more of a popular car. I don't know if Fast and Furious might have brought that model back to life a little bit. I'm not saying that it wasn't the car that it was in the back in the day, because even like the Daytona Charger was a car that they used in like circuit races and like in NASCAR and shit. Like it was a stock car that they would use, was the Daytona Charger, being banned from racetracks because it was too fast or something like that. But I feel like the Charger for me is a very, very iconic car to be seen in a lot of different films. And I'm surprised that it's not on this list. It's crazy to me that it wouldn't be in like the top 50. I mean, like maybe not like top 25, but even like 25 and on. Like number 25 on the list is a Honda Civic, and then down the list is like cars you would possibly drive yourself, or just like, you know, you would see one on the way down the road maybe. I mean, some of these are a little bit older models that they don't make anymore. You might see this at like a car show or car cruise or something like that. Another good one that we can go off of by the make and model itself would just be a Pontiac Firebird Trans Am, because that car, in my opinion, if it's the same color, if it's a black Trans Am Firebird, I'm thinking of two different things. I think the first thing that I'm going to think of is Smokey and the Bandit, because of how many times I was technically forced to watch that movie when I was a child. I'm not saying that I don't like the movie, but I've seen it enough times that if I lived the rest of my life without seeing Smokey and the Bandit again, I think I'd be okay. My dad enjoyed it a lot. The other one I would think about would be Knight Rider, but Knight Rider was before my time. KITT was also a Trans Am. And getting further into that conversation that I was having with Anna was just bouncing back and forth. Like, these cars were iconic because they even had names for themselves. Another car that had a name would be, I think it's Echo. Echo.1 is the car from Ghostbusters. Oh, Ecto, not Echo, Ecto. ECTO. Also known as the Ectomobile. I'm trying to see what kind of car it actually was, because it just looks like a fucking old ambulance. Oh yeah, right here. 1959 Cadillac Miller Meteor Sentinel. Limo-style endo-loader combination car. It also literally says in parentheses an ambulance conversion. In the original vehicle design, it was the creation of Stephen Dang, credited as hardware consultant in the credits. In the original movie, Stantz paid $4,800 equivalent to like what is $15,000 for it, and claims it needed a plethora of repairs. It needed suspension work and shocks, brakes, pads, lining, steering box, transmission, rear end, maybe new rings. The car was somebody else's project, and I like that. If they gave that the idea and like the permission to go ahead and run with it, create your own car, that's actually really cool that they did that. One of Anna's that I will actually give her a shout out, because I'm actually going to have to look this up because I don't even know what it looks like other than what it looks like. But she said the 1967 Chevy Impala, specifically from the show Supernatural. I mean, in all honesty, if this is a part of the show that, like, I'm not going to sit there and say that I have no idea what this show is. I know what it is, but I've never seen it really. Other than that, just your typical black Chevy Impala. I mean, the car looks clean as shit. She also said the Aston Martins is a very iconic car. Going back to top 50 cars in movies, let's see some Aston Martins on this list. That's Mercedes-Benz. Toyota Lincoln. I'm surprised that I'm not seeing a lot of Aston Martins on this list either. There's no way. There's not one Aston Martin on this list. How many fucking James Bond movies exist? And they didn't even make this list? And is it talking, I mean, I guess it's talking about a particular make and model. It doesn't matter about the year. I would assume it doesn't matter about a fucking year. All 50 car models ranked by number of appearances. So it doesn't matter about year. Does Aston Martin still make vehicles? I can't believe it. Not one of them is on this list. And that's like an iconic thing, though. Is if I think of an Aston Martin, my brain immediately goes to, Bond, James Bond, because that's what he drove. Here's another one. Where is this on this list? Because it's on here somewhere. Because Ford, by the way, on this list, Ford won with how many different models it has here on this list. It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 different cars. And I thought that a Gran Torino would have been higher on this list. But it isn't. I feel like the Gran Torino is a very, very iconic car when it comes to TV. in particular. The TV Gran Torino that I'm thinking of is red with that white stripe on the side of it, and that is the car from Starsky and Hutch. Obviously, it was a TV show before they made it into a movie that I so desperately love. The car itself is a very, very big part of that show because I think it's the paint job in particular, because that could literally have been an all-white Torino or an all-red Torino or all black, whatever. But I think like the paint job in particular for that car was very, I don't know if it was specifically for that show. Like somebody did the decal or whatever themselves and then said, here, drive this. This is your car. This is the third actor in the show. Oh, and then there's a movie called Gran Torino. What that like has nothing to do with the goddamn car, really. Anna did also say something to me about Benny the Cab, if that's an iconic car or not. I kind of don't want to include it, but I guess I will. But Benny the Cab is literally the animated character from Who Framed Roger Rabbit. I mean, that is an iconic car from a movie, I guess. So there you go. She gave me Herbie, which Herbie is just, what kind of Volkswagen Bug is Herbie? The original Herbie car. The original Herbie the Love Bug car is a 1963 Volkswagen Beetle. Specifically a deluxe sunroof model modified for the film. I've actually seen people with a Herbie. Actually, now that I think about it, the whole reason why I actually am doing this because this past weekend was this like really ridiculous car show going around in the neighborhood somewhere because there was just a bunch of flashy cars driving around. I saw this really nice Stingray. There's a guy that actually lives local who drives around this really nice red GTO. I had seen the GMC Vandura with the black van with the orange stripe around the fin. And that is the van from the A-Team. And when I saw that, I was like, wow, that's actually really cool. Like, you don't see that all the time. People necessarily aren't driving around the A-Team van for fun. I was going to make like this into a game where I was going to say, I'm thinking of an all-white Dodge Challenger 1972. What is the show that I'm thinking of? Or what is the iconic car, or what show does that iconic car, link to? And then that's when I wrote down DeLorean. I was like, well, I can't really say DeLorean because I'm surprised. Like, I'm not surprised that a fucking DeLorean is not on this list. No, but it's not a popular car at all. You don't see the car on the road. I'm not saying that the DeLorean's an ugly car, but it really kind of is. I don't understand why it wasn't popular. Probably because it looked like it was from a movie. I think that is like the easiest thing, or like the easiest way I can let it off from being an ugly fucking car. Other than, yeah, like it's from the movie, like obviously, and like I haven't even said the name of the movie yet, but as soon as you like hear DeLorean, you're like, oh yeah, it's Back to the Future. We fucking know. The DeLorean is the same thing going towards what I was saying before about like the Gran Torino with the paint job. With that specific red and white paint job, you automatically think like that is a very iconic paint job for that vehicle because that belongs to this show. That's where you get that from. It's the exact same thing. When you look at any DeLorean, I would assume, even if it had a different fucking paint job, you would look at it and go, oh, that's a time machine. Another car, make and model that I can think of that is in multiple shows. I don't know if this would honestly fall under Ford Mustang just because it's kind of different, but in all honesty, I guess it really isn't. So I'm going to guess it just falls under the sub of a Ford Mustang, and that is the Shelby GT 500. What is the difference? So it's a Mustang with a better fucking engine, basically. I mean, the Mustang itself is a car, and it is iconic, I guess, in its own way. But I feel like when you say Shelby, to me, it does totally mean something different. Which, according to specs, it is different. It's obviously a more powerful fucking car. But when it comes to this list and not separating them, I kind of have that bit of a fucking problem because you can't put them in the same thing. To me, it's not the same thing. When I think of a Shelby GT500, I go to Eleanor is the car that Nicolas Cage steals in Gone in 60 Seconds. And it's this big whole ordeal. He calls it Eleanor because he likes the car and he can't fucking not steal it, or I don't know what the fuck. Not a bad movie. I just don't remember it. Also, you can go far back with a Shelby GT500 with like Steve McQueen shit. Old Steve McQueen, Frank Bullitt being that's the movie. It's a green Shelby GT500. Oh, so I was wrong. I swear to God that entire movie was a fuck. I thought it was a Shelby in particular. Maybe when the fuck did he actually make that car? Because the whole thing, that's another movie. Now, Ford versus Ferrari with Matt Damon and Christian Bale, but they were making the GT, not a Mustang. They were making the Ford GT supercar. Which, I mean, they're making that's a movie about the car, so that doesn't necessarily count. I mean, a 32 Ford Coupe is just, that's just bound to pop up in a lot of different movies, just like the Plymouth Fury. The Plymouth Fury was on the other list, right? It's the only Plymouth on this list. It's actually 1,103. And when I think of a Plymouth Fury, I think of Christine. Yep, and it's pretty much the only one that's popping up right now. But in Christine, they also used other cars, though. There was totally a different car model that they used because something that looked close enough. I want to say it was a Bel Air. I want to say it was a Chevy Bel Air, but also a Plymouth Fury. It was obviously the car in Christine. The movie is a Fury, but when they do modifications to it for the film itself to make it look darker, because at one point when the car's, supposedly driving itself, the windows are all tinted. That I think is the Bel Air. And they modified like the sidings of it so it would look like a Fury, but it wasn't. I don't know why I'm saying this. I don't even want to look it up because I think I'm like 90%, I'm 92% sure. 91% sure. But I found another list that I'm going to actually end on because this is it's like 16 cars and I did miss a good bit. I guess I'm going to go I'm going to go the way that it's listed. So this is 16, the most iconic cars, and I've probably covered a couple of these, but I totally didn't cover this one on this list. The first one is the Mini Cooper, which I totally forgot about. Used in the Italian Job, both Italian Jobs, which Michael Caine, Italian Job, and then the other one, Mark Wahlberg. Shelby GT500 using Gone in 60 Seconds. I guess I was fucking wrong about the bullet thing again. The BMW 735i E38, the transporter vehicle from the movie The Transporter, sure. The Toyota Supra used in the Fast and the Furious. The first one, the orange Supra that he brings to the garage. This is your car, not a 10-second car. I said a 10-second car, not a 10-minute car. And then they soup that shit up and then it starts flying down the road. Another car from the Transporter, which is not the same. Yeah, the first one was a BMW. This is an Audi A 6.0 with a facelift or something. What the fuck are you looking at here? That's the car from Transporter 3. The Aston Martin DB5 from James Bond. Which one? 1964 Goldfinger. The Porsche 911 in Risky Business. I'm going to read this real quick just to see if this actually brings us some more of a... I don't know why this is an iconic car for this list because it was in the movie in particular. The Porsche 911, driven by Tom Cruise's character in Risky Business, has become an iconic car in pop culture. Known for its sleek design and high performance capabilities, the 911 is a popular sports car among enthusiasts around the world. The car symbolizes Joel's newfound freedom and success in the movie as he uses it to impress his friends and love interest. Sure. For fans of both movies and cars, the 911 from Risky Business is an iconic symbol of a bygone era when anything seemed possible and the open road was an invitation to adventure. I just wanted to, give a quick recap of the movie Risky Business now, because this does not do it any justice. It's just a car. I'm actually going to now say, like, I was excited to see the car and like hear about it from the movie. Like, oh, I like how like this randomly made the list. This does not belong in this list because of the fact that, like, in all honesty, the cars from the Transporter don't even really belong there either, because it's just the cars. But like the Mini Cooper, when you think of a Mini Cooper, yeah, you might tend to think of the Italian Job, maybe. The GT500, I originally thought of two different things, but I was wrong. So you can only think of the one thing. This Toyota Supra and the orange paint job from the Fast and Furious, that particular car is iconic from there. But if they would just throw on any fucking Supra, then it wouldn't be very iconic. Now, would it? The Ford Falcon is the souped up one with a hood scoop and the engine's coming out of it. That's the car from the show. Now, this stock Aston Martin is very iconic just because of the fact that that's where you first saw Aston Martin, was James Bond movies. The Batmobile is a Batmobile. The DeLorean's a fucking time machine. The Ecto 1 is just the Ecto. And then the GT500 back to the General Lee is orange with a fucking 01 on the side. Iconic. The Trans Am is iconic with the bird on top of it. The black one with the gold trim. You think of Smokey and the Bandit. And then I guess we can go back to Christine and say that you think... I just, for whatever reason, the Porsche from Risky Business has... It's a big part of the movie, but it really isn't. And it's not a love interest. She's a whore. That's what the movie is. I was about to like be like, oh, I don't want to spoil the movie for people that haven't seen it, but it came out in the 80s, so shut the fuck up. I'm going to ruin the movie for you. His love interest that he's trying to impress is a whore that stole money. Well, technically stole an item from his house because he owed her money because of the sex that he was paying for and receiving in exchange for money. Love interest. And it's not his car. It's his dad's car. And she dumped it in a fucking lake. This show or movie, it's a good movie. But this car does not belong on this list. I'm taking it off. And I'm going to write a letter to firstchoicecars.com blog topic iconic movie cars. You, sir, somebody published this at the end of March. They just did this. How is this on this list? You motherfucker. Ruined it. Ruined my mood. But anyway, I'm sure that I missed a couple of different cars here and there. I've been at this way longer than I thought it was going to be, so I'm going to end this. Feel free to comment on iconic cars that you love seeing in movies and TV. What's your favorite? Which one would you own if you could own one of those cars? Or hell, what's just your dream car in particular? I mean, I talked up the GT500 a lot. I might as well just pick that. But I would pick that, and then my brother would get mad at me. My brother has a lot of influence on the type of cars and shit because he's a Mopar guy. My brother owns a 72 Duster, and that car's badass. Any one of Brian's cars from Fast and Furious, the Supra from the first one, the Skyline from the second one, the Evo, the yellow Evo from the second one. I don't want to drive that car. That just passed by my house all loud as all hell. Brian's GT, the Nissan GT, the blue one from like the seventh one. That's a sick ass car. Pretty much every one of those cars. But anyway, I'm going to wrap it up here. Thank you for listening to another episode of Rogue Report. Please subscribe to the channel. If you haven't, subscribe now. If you know people that love YouTube and podcast and random shit like this, make them subscribe to this. Pull out your mom's phone and subscribe to it without her knowing. She will never know. But anyway, thank you for stopping by. Keep your ear to the ground for the next episode. And until then, we will see you. Bye-bye.